Hey everyone, Jamie here, and welcome to days 5 through 8. And I left off on day 4, and my hope was to get into day 5, and I did not. But here's the thing about day 5. You can see day 5 is already in its page projector. It is a full page photo, and there's journaling that I wrote while it was in my software. The thing with day 8 is I keep saying day 8. I really mean day 5. The thing about day 5 is I had a plan on our calendar for an event we were going to attend. Well, the event did not occur. Well, the event occurred. We didn't get to show up to the event. That's okay. So scrap what I was going to do in day 5. And I went ahead and took a photo of this very beautiful poinsettia my husband brought to me. This isn't green, but I love to have greenery in my home in the wintertime. And this red is just gorgeous. The plant was just gorgeous. So I got in real tight. I took a photo of it, had some fun editing it. And this is day 5. And I probably need to have like day 5 on here, but I didn't do that. So I'll go back and add day 5. So now we're going to go ahead. So that was a really quick day 5. And sometimes, you don't have a story. Well, we always have a story, but maybe it's a work day. Maybe you work at home like I do. Maybe you don't see people most of the day. Maybe there's just not a lot on the calendar. And so what else is going on in your home? Well, this is a pretty, for me, significant, nice thing happening in my home, having this gorgeous poinsettia. So it's part of my book. It's part of my story. And I love watching for things like that in my life where it might not be obvious. It might be super subtle. Okay, for day 6, what I want to do is create just in the center of here. I thought it'd be fun to have an interactive book, and it's going to be attached to this page. So it's not going to come out or anything. It's going to flip open. So what I want to do, I'll get to my cutout here in a minute because there's something I want to do with that. What I have done is gone ahead and printed the story for this day on 3x4 cards with a story that I want to tell. 3x4 cards. How about 3x4 size photos? Okay, so these are already printed and I already have my journaling written out, so the story is told. Now what I need to do is to make what I call, well, actually this is from Heidi Swapp. This is a back-to-back binding book. If you're not familiar with a back-to-back binding book, I'm going to show you how to make it. It's super easy. It's a great way to have hidden binding on a book. It can be any size. This just is going to so happens to be a 3x4 size back-to-back book. So in order to have a 3x4 size back-to-back book, I need to start with a 6-inch wide by 4-inch tall pattern paper. And so just be mindful when you're picking these out, what patterns you want to be looking at. I'm using double-sided paper from Wonderland. Pattern on the backside is not going to matter because it's never going to show. But I do want to kind of be mindful of the pattern that's showing on the inside. So this is the inside. So I'm going to fold so that stays on the inside. You could use a scoring tool to make this happen. I'm just going to fold them in half and I'm going to try to make these as even and as close to each other on the edges as possible. If that doesn't work, because folding is like making a straight line for me. It's not an easy thing to do. I can always go back and trim this up once my book is in place. So now I know for this next page, I want this dot to be shown. So I'm going to now fold so the dot is on the inside. And you get the idea. We're just going to continue through until these pages are folded in half, scored, and straightened up. Okay, so I have my pages, and this is basically how I want my pattern to go in here. And you can't tell because you can't see me, but I'm standing up because when I line these up, I just want to make sure they are as lined up as possible. And I do that better standing up. Is I have added adhesive to all 4 sides, and I am going to make sure that my folds are lined up just as good as they can be so that my book is nice and straight. And I'll show you on this next page when I get it into place something you can do on these back-to-back bindings. So you see now I have that as an open page. There's my next page. What I could do is just add adhesive on 3 sides, and then I have a space that's open on the top for a pocket to insert whether it's going to be additional journaling that's hidden or tags, you get the idea. So just it adds another interactive element. I'm not doing that this time, but I just want to show you that is an option with these, or on the side even. Even if you wanted to keep this side open right here, that I've had a lot of fun with that in the past. Okay, I'm going to add adhesive to this last one and then adhere it to the book. And then we'll go on to creating the cover. Okay, the way I'm going to craft my cover is I have already made a 6 cutout. What I did is I just went in my Photoshop Elements. I'm a Photoshop Elements girl. I actually designed quite a bit in there. People laugh at me, but I do. It works. Okay, so make sure that's my first page. All right, perfect. I'm going to add this as my cover and then trim this down. And you're going to see how this works out. I'm not really explaining it very well, am I, to start with? Okay, the idea here was that the 6 for day 6 is going to be the cover of my little back-to-back binding book. But I wanted it to have a little bit more depth than just one cutout on it. And I wanted it to look into a cardstock background. So that is why I went for making the book first and then adding in my cardstock. I'm going to trim up the cards. Oh, that was not a good cut. See me fix this cut. Yes. Okay. Let's get in here and clean that up. Oh, it's not as bad as it sounded. Woo, aren't we glad? Okay. It is not as bad, so I just got to trim that up. That was a lot for the guillotine cutter to trim out. So my bad on that. But this is just a single part I'm going to trim up here. This should cut just fine. It does. Okay, cover. Then, this is going to be a little tricky because I don't have this measured out exactly perfect. But I want this to be here. I'm going to have to trim that up again. I guess I should have done this before I put it on the book. Note to self. And then this is going to go on top of that. So I don't know if you can tell very well. Oops, I should show that to you. But it gives some dimension here and some depth, which is really what I wanted to happen. So I am going to keep this first one in place as best as possible. I'm going to avoid lifting it completely off. I'm going to add in adhesive all around it. Yes, there is a better way to do this. And the better way to have done this was to have crafted this before I put it on the background. But I'll tell you, when you are live, and I know I'm not live because you're watching a recording, but I was live when I did this. When you are live, you don't always think through all the things. You're kind of working this on the fly a little bit. And point is, I am not a perfect scrapper. It's more for me a matter of how can I fix my mistakes more than how can I make something pretty? And then here I got a little bit of adhesive over here. I'm going to need to clean that up. Okay, I ended up having to cut another 6. My other one was not sized well. And I have the 2 pieces of cardstock now stacked. And again, well, you can kind of see right there, it's a nice dimension. And so I'm going to add adhesive to my cardstock and put the red up there. I like this concept a lot. I love adding this extra depth to these cuts. And they're really easy to build. And it's basically what you're doing is you're just building some depth. And when you have a nice heavy-duty cardstock, that helps. I'm using the Bazzill White. It's a cardstock I've been using for a little while now. And it's kind of my favoriteest at the moment. I'm still sort of looking for something not quite as warm. It's pretty warm. And I really like that. But I'm still a little bit on the hunt for maybe something not quite that warm. Okay, let's see if I can trim this up here. And so if you do this, if you try this, make your cover first before you attach it to your book. happy with that. Okay. One of the things I'm going to do is sand my edges. Helps just kind of clean everything up. I like sort of the rough, distressed look that this brings and provides. I'll be doing the same thing when I get the photos inside. I'm going to kind of rough up their edges a little bit. It's a cute little book. I'm trying to decide next. I actually think it'd be kind of fun to use a clip in here and just clip that right on top. And I think I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to find a clip for that really quick, and then I'm going to add some red line tape to the back and attach it to our page. Okay, so day 6, I've already attached it to its backer, if you will, and I added a Mary sticker there, a clip to hold the journaling, and then a little storybook inside day 6. And I love how this turned out. I'm going to punch holes and put it right there in that part of my album, and then we'll move on to day 7. Next is page 7. What I've done is I printed using Pam Baldwin's hexagon template from Ali Edwards' Product Play 3. And she has this on about an 8.5 by 11 formatted page. I sized this down so the template is a PSD file, and I sized this down so that it would fit inside of my page here. Yeah, I think that's how I want that to look. I've done this before, so you're going to see this actually someplace else in another post, and it turned out really cute, so I wanted to add it to this book as well. What's going to happen is I'm going to cut these out so that I have hexagon-shaped photos. And one of the reasons I like using templates, and especially when it's going to be hidden photos, and this over here was hidden photos as well. I have more hidden photos here, but I think it's going to work. Trust me. Okay, but the story I want to tell here is disconnected, yet it tells a whole singular story at the same time. So I don't necessarily have a great way to show those photos. Like this here is my son and I at the Target checkout, and I just snagged a picture of us through the monitor, right? And then this is us having lunch, what we had for lunch. But then I also snagged a picture of the mountain because it was just such a beautiful day. And then here's later on the evening with our puzzle table and people gathered around it. So, you know, it's a lot of story under kind of one story. Anyway, enough talk. I'm going to go trim these out so that I have these hexagon photo shapes. And then what I'm going to show you next is how I'm going to cover each one. So it's almost like, think of like those traditional advent calendars where you would open each day. That's what this is going to kind of turn out to be. So let me go trim those out and I'll be right back. Okay, these are all cut. And actually, these are a little tricky to cut with the trimmer. So it actually works best for me, having done this a couple times now, to just trim these photos with scissors. Okay, so I want to create the little cover for this first picture. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to cut this in such a way that there is space over here that's going to be left over. I'm not going to cut this part off because this is going to be my fold for this little picture. And so trimming around, using the photo as a template, if you will, I'm going to trim around this photo here because I'm using the exact measurement of the photo itself. Okay, so when you get to here, you can go ahead and cut all the way over. That's fine. But then use your bone folder and go in, create a fold right there on the edge of the photo. That's just going to help this paper go where you want it to. There we go. And then go over the fold again, just about as tight as you can be. And at first, these are going to relax and they're going to kind of open up from the photo. But as the book is closed, these do stay shut pretty well. Okay, and then you just go in here and you add adhesive to the flap. Fold that back over. You might even want to burnish it a little bit more with your bone folder. And you have a little tiny hexagon book. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to kind of generally set that there for now. And I'm going to repeat this process with all of my patterns. I just sort of kind of pre-decided on some pattern paper here. All right, so I'm going to finish this up here. And when these are all in place, I'll come back. Okay, just finishing putting the last one in place. You can see how I wrapped the pattern paper around the back of the hexagon photo. And then it's become its own little cover. And I'm only doing these 5, leaving this open for some embellishment as well as some, as the date. I need to have the day on there. Got some pieces of ephemera. I have some pieces of ephemera. It's part of the Heidi Swapp Winter Wonderland. So I'm going to add that in here. I want to add joy up in this on my first tag here. One of the things I like to do when I have these interactive pages like this, you can see it's kind of stuck down. I have a little bit of the adhesive left over, and it's not going to be super sticky, but it's enough to keep it laying flat until when this has been sitting here for under the book being closed, these will then just automatically stay flat on their own. I love these gold puffy hearts. They're part of Heidi Swapp's Color Fresh. They're puffy phrases, and there's a bunch of hearts that come with them. I'm going to probably grab a couple more to add up to here. And I'm going to finish the rest of this by doing that same kind of idea. I'm going to use these word stickers, and I think I'm actually going to cut this one up. This says peace, love, and joy. I'm going to use a Tim Holtz phrase sticker for the other page. I just didn't want to put red on that red pattern paper. Okay, this page is done. You can see how they want to kind of be flappy, which is okay. It'll be fine. What I did is I went in with some journaling strips that I had typed up, and sometimes I put them on the photo. Sometimes they're just next to the photo itself, but it's all included. I added my 7. We have day 6 and day 7. Okay, day 8, I'm realizing I'm probably going to want to change my little joy here. Day 8 is a pre-made page, and I will have to come in with my 8 as well. I was thinking about doing a big 8. I don't know. So I had, as I showed you in the foundations video, I had added a pocket page. And I knew I intentionally wanted this to be my Advent pocket page. So I knew this would hold our notes and announcements from our church. And so I will be collecting those all in here throughout the weeks, the month. Here we go. I will be collecting these throughout the month of Advent. And I realized I probably made my pocket a little snuggy. Okay, so today we accomplished 4 pages. You saw how I did page 5 with a large format photo, journaling on the photo. Page 6, day 6 rather, is the interactive little book, back-to-back binding, showed you how to make one of those. This is also very interactive, but I love how these 2 pages are playing together a whole lot. That makes me happy to have these together. And these will lay flat. These little interactive peekaboo photos will lay flat as we go on. One of the tags we still need to get filled in. And then day 8 is here inside my pocket. So days 5 through 8, thank you for watching. All kinds of links down below. And I would love it if you'd subscribe to this channel. Thank you. See you next time.